Hi, Kara. So continuing on, I clicked this link and went to look through the blogs that you say are on the Synth website. Um, I was just a little bit confused because the URL is swivel.com and nothing really says Synth. So I was just curious, maybe it would be good to explain a little bit more if Synth is like the parent company of Swivel, or is Swivel one of the Synth tools, or do they integrate, or like what is the relationship between them? And then I was also a little bit confused. I thought that this would be like an example of I guess a Swivel blog. Um, and that there would be like other ones hosted by different people with different themes and stuff like that. But it seems like it's kind of more like a simplified Pinterest or something where like each post is contributed by a different person um, about a different topic, and then they're like grouped into these four categories. So yeah, maybe a little bit more guidance through what exactly this site is and what it has to offer would be good because even after exploring it, I'm not like totally clear on how it's laid out or how it works or how you can contribute to it. I'm sure that I would need to log in to do any of that. So that's probably just on my end, not being um, I guess, forward thinking enough to really figure it out. But yeah, it'd be great to have just a little bit more information. Okay, and then when you said, choose one of the blogs and share the blog, um, I guess I thought that these were like I thought that these were blogs, but I think that they could be more accurately described as blog posts, if that makes sense, because these are like individual contributions or articles on the blog. So I guess what you meant is a blog post or a blog article, but I was just a little bit confused about some of the terminology there, thinking that a blog would be like an individual person's space to house their own information. Um, but that's a cool thing that Synth has, and I will have to look more into it. All right, next step, let's listen to podcasts. Sorry again, the internet is just taking a minute to load. Okay, listening to podcasts. Yes, great for professional development, listening to them on the go. I mean, I listen to podcasts all the time. I'm a big fan. Um, Interesting. Okay, Synth has taken down all of the podcasts that were visible for listeners by other educators and students. That sucks. Okay, so you created a list yourself. Okay, so that kind of explains it. I was a little bit confused about why you were going to incorporate outside podcasts, but I guess this is probably replacing something that you had already prepared using Synth Podcast. So, sorry that that happened. That's super annoying. Um, it is also, yeah, I guess it's good to kind of talk a little bit more about why podcasts are important, what you can learn from podcasts. I mean, you're really selling people on Synth, but you're selling them on a podcasting tool, and so selling them on podcasts is a big part of that. So, um, even though it's all like not the most natural transition anymore because Synth doesn't host these podcasts, it still fits. All right. So I need to explore and choose one podcast channel that I think is useful and one that students might be interested in, and then add a link to the podcast on Padlet with a short description. Okay, so I'll come back and check out these. The Naked Scientist, that's funny. Um, cool. Okay, these look awesome. It looks like you have kind of a mix of things, which is great. Music education, art education, math, plenty of science, which is great. Um, cool. Okay, and then yeah, you have a list of stuff for students. Um, I'll check out all these links, but I don't want to make you just sit around and see if they all open on my super slow internet. So I'll come back to those. Oops. Um, Okay, I see. And then we're back to the same Padlet and just contributing in this last column. Cool. Okay. Yeah, that looks great. And next we'll podcast about podcasts. So choosing one of the podcast channels you chose earlier, listen to one of the episodes, create a podcast as if you're reviewing the podcast. Okay, gotcha. So we're creating a synth podcast, reviewing the podcast that we listen to. Um, that's actually a great idea because that's something that we often ask students to do is to sort of write book reports or review different things, and doing it in a podcast format could be a really easy way and kind of a different way for students to review materials that we're giving them. Okay. And Leah, classic star student. Podcast of a podcast. Okay, cool. Easy peasy format. And I guess is that it? There's no next button. So I'm just gonna go to the pages and view all pages and just make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so these are not in order. Let's do it by modules. Um, Podcast about podcasts. Okay, so I guess that's it. Yeah, it might have been nice to have either a separate module or a page that was kind of a reflection or um, just had a little bit more explicit language about wrapping it all up. I think that, again, I really like that you kept it really simple and didn't put too much on any one page. Um, and so adding one more page with just a simple goodbye or a small reflection or yeah, I don't know. It just felt like it ended a little bit anticlimactically. But overall, I think it's a great training. You created a lot of really great resources. It looked really professional, looked really clean. Everything that I've opened so far works. I will check and make sure that everything else does. Yeah, and I love that you introduced us to Synth. I know that you introduced us to it a couple months ago, but it was great to learn a little bit more about it. And I will check out the podcast that you recommended because I love podcasts. Thanks, Kara.